To reach the finishing line here on the top of Mt Buller by himself. Well, if he's going to keep his lead in the Motorola Mt Buller Cup, he's going to have to do it all again on the same climb, because now we have a circuit race and the last 200 metres uses the same part of the hill. Not once though, Phil, but 20 times we estimate.
20 times. I'm glad it's not me, Phil. I've walked up this hill a few times in the last days, and it's very tough. Up behind me here, they're going to be taking a left across Burke Street, the ski run, down the other side. It's going to be fast, twisting descent, around the bottom corner here, and back up this climb. It's a 1.2 kilometre circuit. Yeah. This finish here is 33%. Once again, I stress, I'm glad I'm not racing.
Well, I tell you what, although there's some 50 starters in the race, I think it's going to be a war of attrition, because this is going to wear anybody out, even riders of this quality. And here's what they think of the course.
So, Grish, you've had a look at the circuit here. What do you think?
Oh, it's a pretty hard circuit. This uphill here to the finish line, it should be hard when you have to go up 15 times or something.
So, day one, you're 4 points behind Patrick Yonkers. Do you think you can take him today?
Oh, I try, but I think he's too strong. He'll win today again.
A lot of things can happen. I just have to make sure, you know, keep an eye on the Germans, who will probably attack, and Stephen Hodge, who will try to secure, you know, a place also. So it'll be one of the hardest races today. It'll be short but very hard.
Oh, I'll be out there. Patrick Yonkers is taking the lead in the series at the moment. I'll be out there firstly to help him, and if I can have a bit of a dig myself, I'll have a go.
It's another monumental climbing circuit like the Typhoon in Lorna. And it's just how many people I think you can get around it and live to tell the tale.
Well, Stephen Hodge there was out of breath, and he'd only just been on the warm-up lap. The rider's starting right on the pinnacle of the mountain here, so at least, Phil, they get 800 yards or so downhill before they come up to the finish.
Downhill, it's the only place they get to recuperate. There's a very difficult corner right here, which they'll have to negate maybe 20 times during the course of the day. Very difficult because they come into it at a great speed, and then they've got this hellish climb going up towards the finish line.
Well, Jay Sweet is the man who's anxious to start the proceedings. Now, Jay isn't a climber, but he's a very fast sprinter, followed by Mackenzie, who lost big time yesterday, but it doesn't matter because this race is scored on points, and Mackenzie back in the hat for a good finish today, perhaps. Now, take a look at some of the faces on the riders here. This is only the first of 20 times up this climb.
Yes, it's not particularly a great circuit for sprinters. You know, they're usually a little heavier build than for the climbers, but you can see the trouble that Jay had coming around this corner here.
Some super silo coming from Jay Sweet. He was flicking his bike left and right. Now he's on the climb for a second time. The field already stretching, and in fact, having said that, there's a lot of riders here already who are going to drop away from the leaderboard on what I'm sure will be a war of attrition on this climb.
Yes, it looks like the field is splitting to pieces, Phil. There's very little time for them to come back. Once you're off the back here, you may as well climb off the bike, because it's very difficult to come back.
I think you're absolutely right. This is the front of the group. In fact, that was David Mackenzie just ahead of Neil Stevens as they went out over the top. We're looking here, though, Phil, at probably a group of maybe 25 riders again left to dictate this race, and there's still 17 laps to go.
Yes, it can be pretty humiliating once you get dropped early on in the race like that. We've got some of Australia's best cyclists, and it can be very humbling to have to be climbing off the bike early on like this.
Well, that was Mackenzie who's gone through. Stevens is bringing up the chase group here. The Germans are paying attention. They've got at least 4 of the team in this decisive split here, so Jonker may have trouble later on. But right now, the trouble's coming from David Mackenzie and indeed Nathan Dalberg on the right of our picture. 2 Tours de France under his wheels over the years, and Nathan now the sort of rider coach of the New Zealand team. He's looking over his shoulder, and he's going to see Tristan Preen. Yep,
one of the great VIS riders, coached by David Sanders. Looks like he's having a go. It's strange for him to be going out after his teammate, but this could have been a predetermined strategy.
Well, Mackenzie, I think, could do with a little bit of help out there. He surely didn't imagine he could hold off this field for the best part of 45 minutes of solid climbing. There's Preen going through the S's down to the bottom of Mt Buller again. Then he'll line up for that 250 metres of purgatory when the riders are on a climb of some 33%. And this is a very, very compact leading group, which is slowly forming now.
Yeah, I think the riders are starting to settle down to the pattern of this race, whereas the struggle up the hill, across Burke Street at the top, and regrouping again on the downhill. And to be out in front like this, you know, there's not much advantage to being out there. You might be able to crush the morale of the chasing field, but, you know, it is quite a bit more difficult once you're out like this.
Well, Preem has caught his teammate Mackenzie, so the two riders on the White Pages VIS rather team are now at the front. Dalberg is still dancing around in the middle, a little bit confused, Nathan. He doesn't know whether to go forward or backwards at the moment. He looks over his shoulder, though, and he's going to see, I think it's Eddie Hollands from Western Australia trying to bridge the gap as well. As the group behind gets smaller and smaller, Pat Jonker at the moment is just paying close attention to the whereabouts of little Grisha Neerman.
And I'd imagine he'd also be keeping his eye on Stephen Hodge there, not to be ruled out. He got third yesterday, and he could still win this event if he climbs well today.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's all on points. There's 10 points for the rider to cross the line in first place today. This is the back group here, and it contains Henk Vogels, who rode pretty well yesterday in the decisive move, but he's not enjoying his ride around the top of Mount Buller today. He's already losing ground. This is the rear group. So too Brett Dennis, number 8, Commonwealth Games gold medalist a couple of years ago in Victoria, Canada. Back to the front. Tristan Preem has cracked his teammate Mackenzie, and Preem is now going forward. Mackenzie looks like being collected by the chase group.
Yeah, Mackenzie looked like he's almost come to a standstill right there. You can see he's waiting for the field. You know, looking at Mackenzie, he looks a little heavy to be a rider climbing in a race like this. You know, the climber is usually a thin type guy. That German Grisha has the perfect physique of a climber. Vogels we saw before, he looks a little heavy as well, but he's still there. You can see him at the back of the screen there. He's still tacked onto the back.
Well, one thing about Henk Vogels from Perth is he will always try to stay in contention. He's a very big talent in the world of cycling, but he's happy enough now to just push into the fray there, Matt Jackson, and Henk wants to keep that last position in what is now the front group here. Running away down towards the bottom of the circuit again, and now let's catch up with the leaders, and this is again a Kiwi. Now it looks to me like we've got Glenn Mitchell here.
Glenn Mitchell alone, going down the descent, obviously looking to slip away. It's you know, these corners down the bottom of the circuit here are really treacherous, because you come in at great speed. You've really got to lean over, and you've got those hay bales which are in fact covering up the curve of the street.
Well, all of the riders seem to be back under control. Mitchell's on the right. This is Matt White, who has won up here on Buller last year, I think it was, who's now giving it a little bit of effort. Matt is getting increasingly better as this series goes on. He's caught up with Glenn Mitchell, grits his teeth, gets it around that narrow corner. Now, normally that road would not be wide enough for a bike race, but because of the nature of this course, they're never all together as they go down there.
Yes, Phil, that's actually a footpath in winter going straight across Burke Street.
Well, as they go down the footpath, the race is half over. We'll take a break.